welcome back to my channel. I'm Victoria Pearson, but you can call me V, and hey, we made it through January. I am so proud of all of us. It's dark, it's wet, it's miserable. It is easily the longest month of the year. No, I don't care that other months also have 31 days. January is the longest. It wins, hands down. It took forever to get through it. But we're through it now, and so I figured that we should probably celebrate that. Now, from the, let me just check, yes, 28th of January through to the 5th of February, day before my birthday, just reminding you, it is, in the UK, National Storytelling Week. And that is run by the Society for Storytelling, and they are trying to celebrate the ancient art of oral storytelling. Now, what kind of writer would I be if I didn't capitalise a little bit on that? But it is a good one for me because I often write modern retellings of fairy tales and twisted versions of fairy tales. Fairy tales from the bad guy's perspective, or fairy tales where you might not have considered a piece of information that's been left out of the story. And that is one thing that I love about fairy tales, is that they did start off in an oral tradition. These are stories that existed from before we could read and write. And so they've been changed and adapted, and they've changed according to where they're told and what's happening in society wider in that sort of time. And they're really just a part of our makeup. The archetypes that we meet in fairy tales are the same sort of archetypes that we meet in real life. And although they might be telling us in strange ways, they're quite often cautionary tales to let us know to be a bit careful in the wild woods. That appeals to me a lot. And so I thought that it would be nice if today I read you a nice little story. Maybe one that I've written, maybe a fairy tale retelling. And so I had a ponder about it, asked a couple of friends which one that I should read to you. There was quite the consensus that it had to either be my Cinderella or my Red Riding Hood. But in my Cinderella story, someone sings, and I wasn't going to do that to you. So we will be reading Red today, which is from my book, Once Upon a Twisted Fairy Tale. I hope that you really enjoy it. Grab yourself a cuppa. I'll be getting one too. Get into your snugglies. And I will see you in just a moment for a story. I'm sorry if you can hear some background noise outside. I can't control when the council decides to dig up outside my house, but generally it seems to be whenever I am trying to record a video. So, as I said, I write a lot of fairy tale type stories. Not always. I do a bit of sci-fi, a bit of fantasy, a bit of other stuff as well. But I did bring out a collection that was just my fairy tales. It was Once Upon a Twisted Fairy Tale. Cover art by Kieran Wolfenden there. I was very pleased with that. He does all of my covers and he's brilliant. I asked some of my followers which one of these I should read to you, and I had a few different suggestions, but I think we're going to go with my twisted version of Red Riding Hood, which is just called Red. Are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin. And if you understood that reference, you're at least as old as me. She buttoned her dress slowly, gnarled fingers stiff with arthritis struggling over each wooden button. It wasn't the dress that she'd been wearing when she met him. That had been lost somewhere over the decades, a casualty of the children or grandchildren playing dress-up maybe, or moths. This one was similar though, pale yellow and button-down, although the body it wrapped itself around was much different. He probably wouldn't notice the similarity anyway. Men rarely noticed things. Over their many years together, she had changed many times. Her hair, her body shape, her face, even the way she walked. He had never remarked on it. Perhaps that was just his way of being sensitive. Or maybe it was denial. She had just finished setting up a jug of flowers on the table and building up the fire when she heard the gentle tapping on the kitchen door. She felt like a girl again, wanting to skip across the room and leap into his arms, but her limbs wouldn't let her. They were too slow, too cautious now. Instead, she crossed the room at a slow, painful pace. It had been 3 torturous weeks since she had seen him last, but this little last bit of waiting, knowing that he was there and willing her body to move to him faster, was always the longest part of the wait. "By all the gods, you're so beautiful," he said before she could even draw breath. "You lie so sweetly," she said. It was he that was beautiful. He hadn't changed since she'd met him more than 60 years ago. He'd been 25 forever. The sun caught his tawny blonde curls from behind, giving the impression of a halo. He took her face in his hands and kissed her deeply. For a second she worried about how flaccid her face must feel to him now, compared to the firmness of his own, and about her missing teeth. But the moment passed like a summer squall, and she lost herself in him. He broke away and whispered, "Is it safe?" "Yes," she breathed. "I sent word to the kids that I wasn't feeling great and to keep the grandkids away so that I don't give them my tummy bug. We'll be alone." He swept her up as easily as if she was a doll and danced into the cottage, kicking the door shut behind him before sitting on the rocking chair. She rested her head on his shoulder and sighed, content. He kissed the top of her head. "I've missed you," he said. "I've missed you more. I could stay longer. Just go away on the full moon. They have that mail carriage now, don't they? I could take that each month and get away well in time." "And tell the family what, love? That you're my lover? They'll think that you're trying to swindle me. Besides, as far as they're concerned, my husband died years ago, tragically young, and I've no further interest in love." We should have told them the truth. "It's too late now. And anyway, you love to turn and go for a run. They'd hunt you here. It's much safer in the mountains. Please let's not waste our time together quarrelling." "Yes, I can think of much better ways to waste time," he winked. She lay back on their bed, trembling in anticipation and staring at his naked body, as always, in awe. The sun streamed through the window, highlighting every muscle of his perfect form, illuminating his faint covering of body hair, glinting off the silvery stretch marks that were the only sign of his transformations. A beam of light, with eyes as dark as the deepest night, she couldn't look away from them, longing to sink into them and lose herself in the darkness and merge with his very being. "What are you thinking?" he grinned wolfishly. "I'm thinking what big eyes you have, my love," she teased. He pounced onto the bed and growled playfully. "Is that all you think is big?" He started crawling slowly up the bed towards her, lingering just long enough to gently nip and softly kiss her ankle, her calf, the inside of her knee. Her skin puckered in goosebumps, and she squirmed where she lay. "Oh, big bad wolf," she sighed. "What huge, big teeth you have." He chuckled softly and licked up her thigh. "All the better to eat you up." She could feel his breath on her. She arched her back in desire. The bedroom door burst open. "Grandma?" In his shock, her husband transformed, leaping from the bed, hackles rising, huge teeth bared. But before the little girl could scream, he realised it was his granddaughter. He changed trajectory in mid-air, landing gracefully away from the girl, and cowered in the corner instead. He was agile in his wolf form and rolled onto his back, showing his belly like a huge dog showing submission. Ruby was not reassured. She dropped her basket of goodies and screamed for her dad. "It's okay, little Ruby Red," she soothed. "Everything's—" But before she could finish her sentence, John was there, and before she could open her mouth to scream, the axe had left his hand. Time slowed as the axe spun through the air. There was a sickening thunk as it landed in her husband's skull. All colour drained from the world but the red of his blood. Red poiling out over the yellow rug. Red spattered up the whitewashed walls. Red covering her naked body as she clung to him and wept. Red matting up his beautiful golden fur. Red splashed over the window, staining the sunshine forever. Much later, she had gathered the fallen flowers from Ruby's basket and laid them on her husband's grave. She had toyed with the idea of burying him at their cottage. It had been their home after all, however much he'd been forced to be away. But she didn't think she could go back there now. Instead, she took him back to their meadow, the place where they used to meet when they first started walking out together. It was the place he first told her that he was a werewolf. It was where he had asked for her hand. It was where she had first told him that she was having his baby, and where, during those awful times when the witch-finders seemed determined to burn everyone, they had first spoken about the ever more obvious difference in their ages and decided that it was time to make their relationship a secret. It felt only fitting it should be where he came to rest. She was trying hard not to be angry with John. He was a good man. It wasn't his fault. He found his daughter terrified and a wolf in the room with his mother-in-law. He had reacted as any man would. But she didn't think that she could stay with him, Mary and Ruby either. especially after he offered to take the wolf's body and sell it for the pelt. If they had just respected her wishes and stayed away, but no, that wasn't fair either. They'd just been trying to take care of her, to look after her when they thought she was sick. She lay down on the grave, her face against the rough, sandy earth, and closed her eyes. "I always thought it would be me that left you all alone," she whispered. "You were supposed to live forever." The sun set as if nothing had changed and the world hadn't ended, staining the sky red. And perhaps the shepherds were delighted, for the big bad wolf would no longer steal their lambs. I really hope that you enjoyed that story. I enjoyed writing it and reading it out to you, actually. I'm sorry, I don't really do happy endings, but that doesn't mean that none of my stories have a happy ending. It's just that most of them don't, really. If you want to find out a bit more about Storytelling Week, that is the 28th of January to the 5th of February, and you can have a look on the Society for Storytelling's website. That's sfs.org.uk. I'll put that on the screen probably. And I think they do resource packs for teachers, things like that, so you can get more involved if you so wish to. And if you loved that story and you want to read a few more by me, I've got some on my website. The books are all on Amazon, and you can buy the books on my website as well at victoriapearson.co.uk. I will be back next Monday for my next vlog. As I mentioned before, it's my birthday next Monday, and so I'll probably be wanging on about aging or something, know me, or maybe about celebrating your birthday in the same way that you would celebrate other people's, which is something that I have always struggled with. And so hopefully you guys will give me the oomph that I need to actually celebrate my birthday, because it is worth celebrating that we're alive, you know. That will be on about 6 AM UK time on Monday. I hope that you can join me then. I will also be here every day on the shorts up until then, doing my daily gratitude. Really enjoying that I'm doing that. It has made my life so much better. I would love it if you would join in and let me know what you're grateful for and what makes you happy. And I will also be here, assuming that it's still alive, it is at the time of filming, on Tuesday for my terrarium check-in. So you can have a look at the terrarium that I made for Christmas and see if I've made it go mouldy or something yet. Hopefully all the plants are still alive and it's all still looking fab, like it is at the time of filming, by the time I actually post this video. Until then, you have yourself a magical week.